and welcome to episode 208 of the Awesome Comics Podcast, the place where the small press makes one hell of a big noise. I'm Vince Hunt, creator of The Red Mouse from Mars, and I'm here with the creator of the webcomic Vanguard, Dan Butcher.
Hello.
And the Glaswegian Kiss, known as Tony Esmond.
The hotness.
You are the hotness. Oh, I should have called you the hotness this week.
Yeah, that's my catchphrase.
Yeah, that was the best part of last show. No, of course it wasn't.
Tony's been venturing north of the wall, hasn't he?
I have. Yeah, I've been up there.
Yeah.
I've been all over the place, I have.
Oh, Dan, I tell you what, Game of Thrones references are so last year.
So last month.
So last month. Oh, just get over it, darling.
Everyone hates it now as well, so shouldn't have referenced that.
Well, you know, everyone hates a lot of things, but not on this show. We're nothing but love. And
dirty love.
Yeah, and dirty love if you're Tony Esmond.
I think the Lakes podcast referred to me today as the Lord of Evil or something. I can't remember what they called me earlier.
Well, you know, obviously
they
know more than we thought they knew.
Yeah.
And
about later.
Yeah, more on that later, as well as where Tony's been and seen and done. Yeah, we've got a lot to catch up on because we did an earlier recording, so I haven't spoken to these two boys for a little bit, innit?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
You've been out on your bike.
It wasn't mine. We'll get onto that later.
Okay.
And also this week we've got a very special little interview lined up for you all, which you'll hear in just a minute. But do you know what else is very special?
Me.
You're not special.
True.
No, you're not special, Tony. You're the best.
Thank you, mate. Cheers. You know I am, don't you?
You're the best around. No one's going to ever take you down.
Are those the lyrics? Because when it gets to that bit, I just go,
I think he goes like
that.
Yeah.
Are you one of those guys who sings in the car a lot? I bet you are, Vince. You're sort of that happy chap who sings. Yeah, I sing in the car a bit.
I'll sing anywhere except in public. Anyway.
Yeah.
I usually change song lyrics. I usually change song lyrics to make them rude and vulgar.
I tell you what, that really surprised me, Dan.
ACP tradition.
Yeah. I can't imagine you doing something like that.
On there. But what's rude and vulgar? One of my selections on this week's Comic House app.
Oh wow! You mean Comic House, our sponsor?
That's the one.
Oh wow! Did you know, Dan, that they're actually an indie comic marketplace with a difference, and they've got a huge selection of titles on their database? Of course, you knew that.
You knew that. You've been saying it every fucking week for years.
Look, Tony, we were doing so well. Do you know what I mean?
I know. That's why I said it.
Yeah. Anyway, so Comic House sponsor this show every week. They put up with us, and they also occasionally offer us competition prizes, etc. But not only that, they do amazing work for indie comics. Yeah, so on the Comic House website, there's a huge selection of titles on there, and if you self-publish a comic, much like many other people, you can list your book on there for free and start selling through the Comic House channels, which is cheap as chips. But the thing that is amazing and we talk about all the time and we like to dip into now and then, especially there's been a few reviews. Dan, did you say there was going to be one this week from there?
From the Comic House? Well, yeah. I've read a couple of them that are featured on this week's update email.
Oh yes, because on the Comic House app, yes, you heard me right, they've got an app. They got loads of digital comics on there. A lot from people that you've heard on this show, including like us three reprobates. But what else have they got on there at the moment, Dan?
Well, this week, Vanguard issue 16 by me, obviously.
Yes.
Got The Adventures in the 18th Century Flintlock, The Tales of Robert the Bruce, Slaughterhouse Farm 2, which I sent you guys a screenshot of. That is spicy.
I read that.
one.
I read that this week after you sent me
One
that.
thing I'll say about the Hellbound
Yeah.
Media boys, they just take the seatbelts off and just go for it, don't they? They do not give a fuck.
I like that. That's like proper grindhouse, video nasty.
Yeah.
Dumb well. I like it. It made me giggle, that one.
Yeah.
I mean, the first one was on there the last time we did a show, and they've uploaded the second.
Yeah.
So if you like that kind of 1980s kind of, you put on a horror film, you're like, Jesus, that's the fill your boots.
What's that movie? What's that one about Wales? Is it Inbred? Is that the name of the film?
Yeah.
I've not seen that one.
By the people who did Evil Aliens. That's a bit like that. Reminded me a bit of that, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got The High Priestess, the complete series. All on the Comic House, plus a whole lot more.
Nice. So there's tons of stuff on there that the library's growing all the time, and it's you get there's loads, like Dynamite books on there as well, but it's nice to see a lot more sort of like indie creators. There seems to be a fresh influx of.
Yeah, it does, doesn't there?
Yeah.
I would say if you've read a comic and you've really enjoyed it, do leave a review for that comic on Comic House. I try to, but I think it helps guide people to think, oh yeah, I like that. That sounds good, and go for it.
Yeah. No, that's very wise words, Dan. As always.
Yeah.
And the app itself is only £3 a month, so it's like a subscription streaming service, but you could just get all these comics for that every month. And there's a 14-day free trial, so just go to comichouse.com, find out more, and sign up today. So and they keep us going, keep lights on, don't they?
Yeah. Here at ACP Towers.
Yeah.
Basement.
Tony's in the dungeon.
I did have a look. We've got, I think, about 4 or 5 books in the top 20 between the 3 of us.
Oh, wait.
That's pretty good, yeah.
Blimey.
Oh, that's good.
How the hell does that happen?
Red Mask crept in there, V.
Yeah.
Like 19 or 20. But
yeah, well, work has begun on issue 4. Well, I say begun. Yeah. It's in the pipeline, and these 2 chaps have seen some work on it. I'm not going to say it's going to be out next week, because it's not, because I've foolishly decided to do some like crazy over the top action scenes for myself. I mean, I'm sure you guys know what it's like. You think it's great when it's just one liner, like a sentence in a script, and then you look at the page you got to do and you just think, why have you done this?
Yeah, that's why being a writer is right. Is it the Red Mask Summer Special? Is that what you're going to do?
No.
I
may do in the future though, something like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
We've Vince has shared some of the pages. Obviously, it won't show the viewers, listeners this, but like your style has changed. It's stayed the same but evolved. It's still your style.
Yeah,
it's really interesting to see it.
I'm in this interesting place where my style is going a certain way, but my brain wants to keep everything consistent. Not like completely consistent, because obviously issue 2's moved on from issue 1, and things like that. But I don't want it to suddenly just change up completely.
I can understand.
Yeah. And I don't think I could anyway. It's not like I could just change into like a sort of like penciled and soft line and all that. I always revert to type, as it were. But but it's in progress. Anyway.
Yeah, that's one.
Yeah.
Don't stop moving.
Do you just quote S Club 7?
Fuck yeah.
I can't tell you the next line of that. Oh,
no. What is it, Tony?
Don't stop grooving.
Oh, there you go.
No, I don't make that.
No, it's not.
I don't know what it is.
I know it's not that.
And on that bombshell.
On that bombshell.
We've got some hot comic chat coming up after the interview where Tony tells us all about Glasgow Comic Con.
Yeah, and Mac Powell.
Yes. Yeah, wow, two for one.
So we've got a bit of convention talk after this interview. What interview is this? Well, we were very pleased this week to be joined by creators Simon Furman and Geoff Senior. Names that have been brought up on this show quite a few times in the past.
Yeah, especially in the early years as well. We talked quite a lot about it, didn't we?
Yeah.
So obviously they've got the new book To the Death out now. So I'll tell you what, let's just get stuck in straight away, shall we? Never mind us waffling about nothing for ages. The people want to listen to some actual comic talk. So here you go. Here's the interview for your listening pleasure. Right, this week we're very pleased to be joined by not one, but 2 special guests. Yes. Both are known to many for their work on titles such as Transformers, Death's Head, and pod favourite Dragon's Claws. Oh yes, Dan's talked about that many a time.
Yeah.
Such a massive Dragon's Claws fan.
Yeah.
Dan's at attention at the moment, guys. I'm going to say that now.
Well, I got mine signed by Geoff at True Believers earlier in the year.
I met Dan. Actually, that was great. And he gave me a book, which I unfortunately lost, so he's going to give me another one.
Yeah, I'll sort you out with another copy, don't worry.
You heard it here on the show first. So you've promised that now, Dan. You've done it yourself. Yes, as you can tell, we are joined by the creators behind the newly launched series To the Death. It's our pleasure to welcome Simon Furman and Geoff Senior to the show. Hello, gents.
Hi there. Nice to be here.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. This is a long time coming. We've been looking forward to this one. Very exciting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's perfect timing with the series To the Death just sort of launched at the moment. So there's been a lot of buzz about this for quite some time, hasn't there? I think so.
There is. Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of what the actual, I mean, let's just kick us off with this. I mean, this conversation is going to go in all directions. It did just a minute ago before we actually started recording properly. But you won't know about the Adventures with Peppa Pig, folks. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. Podcast favourite, talking about Peppa Pig.
Oh yeah. But yeah, for those folks that don't know about like exactly what To the Death is, what exactly is the book and how did it come to be?
Well, I mean, it came out of, a need that both Geoff and I had to A, work together again, and B, create something that we own that was, instead of, it being a Marvel character or an IDW character or Transformers, we just really wanted to sort of get that proper creative energy going again that we had on series like Death's Head and Dragon's Claws. So, we both were feeling the need to do something together. And, we just sat down and talked about what we thought we really wanted to do, nobody telling us what we should do. So what was it we felt was sort of our strengths or what we both wanted to ride. And, we could have gone the soft route, the easy route, and gone very mech heavy and thrown a lot of giant robots into it.
Now, you say that's a soft and easy route. Now, someone that has to draw something, the idea of just drawing lots and lots of robots does not sound like the soft or easy route to me.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
You do it in your sleep now, don't you, guys? Robots are easy.
Nightmares, baby.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I don't think Geoff ever set out wanting to draw giant robots.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily set out wanting to write giant robots. I came, to it in a very sort of superhero way. I just wanted, to be doing those kind of stories. And Geoff, you were more sort of war comics and sort of Conan the Barbarian, weren't you?
Yeah, you're right. And it was just a break of got. The big break was really at Marvel UK with Ian Rimmer.
Yeah.
And he said, do you know what Transformers are? And of course, I instantly thought of those little boxes you get on the side of racing car sets. He pointed out the robots, etc., and explained everything. And he said, do you want to do a test page or a couple? And I said, of course, because obviously I wanted to work.
Yeah.
And I did, and he was happy with it. And that's really how I got into drawing Transformers.
Because I've heard you say, Geoff, previously on another interview that you're, it was on the Orbiting Pod interview actually, you said you're quite influenced by 70s sci-fi and you were a big sort of Doctor Who and, was it UFO I think you quoted as being a big...
Yeah, when I was a kid, it was UFO was the thing I was really into. And these were the days, of course, before video recorders, etc. And I remember it was on a Saturday evening at about 5:30.
Right.
And one of them classics on a weekend. The family would go out in the car and it's a nice day, we'd go for a drive out, and I would be looking at the clock thinking, oh no, it's going to start in 15 minutes and I've got to make it.
Yeah, I remember those days. Yeah.
And like I said, it's so easy these days because you can do catch up or you can pre-record it.
Everything's out there, isn't it now? Yeah.
It was still dilemma being a kid and missing, getting back home and half the program's already gone. And obviously with UFO, I followed it into the comic, which was Countdown.
Yeah.
I was a Doctor Who fan then as well. And
cool.
Countdown was a comic that really, I ticked all the boxes for me, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah. I mean, you can still find pages of that quite easily on eBay and stuff. They do, you can find from those strips, even the stuff that came later, like Wurzel Gummidge and, the $6 Million Man. They had all this going on, didn't they, back then,
Exactly, yeah. There's a few things in Countdown that I liked. There's one or two things. It merged with, I think it was TV Action at one point.
Okay, yeah.
And TV 21 or something. And then you were getting things in it like, was it Grange Hill or some school program?
Yeah.
Oh dear. But the initial Countdown was definitely the best, and then TV Action.
Yeah.
I loved the artwork as well. Jerry Haylock was in there, and John Burns, etc.
Yes.
So really good stuff in there.
Yeah,
too.
Lovely stuff. And also artists who tended to fit like 20 panels on a page often. Yeah. It was like they put their work in back then, didn't they?
Oh, absolutely. No, you're right. And it's not like that anymore. Well, it shouldn't be like that anymore because obviously printing's a lot easier and simpler nowadays. So yeah, you could understand in them days because it was all about the double page spread. You know, they got 2 pages in the centre of the comic, and that would to me was the high point. You know, I'd get the comic and go and sit on my bed and have a cup of tea or something. I think it was tea. I mean, I remember drinking something.
Scotch.
I grew up on the Transformers, the UK version. I used to love it, especially your artwork, Geoff. And Simon, I remember reading the 2006, was it 2009?
2006, yeah.
Yeah, I just absolutely, as a kid, loved that. That was great. All the kind of characters being brought together in this kind of like up against the Galvatron character. But I guess, is that the first time you guys met in a professional capacity?
Yeah, I mean, we met through Marvel UK. You know, we both had. I think I was already working on Transformers, and I was on staff at Marvel UK. So, you know, when Geoff sort of came down to drop artwork off, we met up, and you know, obviously got on like a house on fire. But you know, because we've now been friends for sort of some 35 years.
Nice.
But,
yeah.
You know, it just kind of it was a very sort of sociable place, Marvel UK. You know, it was great fun.
So that was when it was just off Chancery Lane. Then it was down.
No, it was Bayswater.
Oh, Bayswater. Then was it? Okay.
Yeah, it was the damn place in Bayswater. So you know, I mean, and yeah, you know, the artists you always used to come in to sometimes deliver pages. So yeah, you know, we just met up, you know, then, and you know, obviously we just started working together on Transformers, and really, you know, we've worked together on and off ever since. You know, even though Geoff's had large chunks out of the comics biz, you know, we've kind of never lost that friendship and kind of good creative synergy we get working together. So, you know, when it did come to work together again on To the Death, you know, we did look at, like I said, at, you know, where were we sort of our happiest? Where was we think we were kicking on all cylinders? And it was really with Dragon's Claws, where it was build a whole world from the ground up. You know, the cast, the world, the storyline, the whole fabric of a future. And that was what what I enjoyed doing a great deal. And it seemed to bring out the best in Geoff in terms of just letting him go wild with a whole world. And I think that's where our starting point was for To the Death. We just wanted to do that thing again, where we took that energy and kind of craziness that we had in Dragon's Claws, but turned it into something sort of completely new and I suppose more fit for comics today.
I think that's the thing with you both, is that you're almost a recognisable. You know, when you both work on a book, it's almost like a single brand. It's become that way, isn't it? Yeah. Because of everything you've worked on together. And I think people are excited for this because they know what they're getting from you both. You know, they're getting what they've enjoyed previously. It's not like an unknown quantity. You're coming forward and you're doing something that was also got a little bit of nostalgia because people will have loved stuff like Death's Head and Dragon's Claws and all that sort of thing as well, you know?
And to an extent, it's a little bit of almost our greatest hits, you know, but in something new, you know. A lot of the things that we just love to draw all came out of that Dragon's Claws, Death's Head era of storytelling. And so, you know, we just channeled a lot of that creative energy we had back then into this new thing. But again, the same thing applied. You know, we wanted to build a world from the ground up, you know, just have the same kind of huge stakes going on. And you know, what we loved out of Dragon's Claws was this idea of almost one man against the system. You know, of that sort of one who just really should have given up, you know, on this doomed quest a long time ago, but he just keeps going and coming, and you know, we really like that feel of you know, even though there's other characters in this, it's almost like this guy who won't quit, who won't back down. And that felt very sort of, you know, primal to us in terms of a motivation. And so we took a lot of those elements and threw them into something brand new.
I mean, this is also it's a 10-issue series, isn't it? I mean, I can't recall right now how sort of something like Dragon's Claws ended. But sometimes when you get series like that there's no sort of ending, there's no period point, there's no, when it ended, did you feel like it was unfinished, and this is a chance to do something where you can see it through from beginning, middle to end?
I personally kind of hate things that just roll on and don't finish. So again, one of the other things I think both Geoff and I were keen to do was just tell a complete story.
Yeah.
Make it big, epic, create a world that maybe we can spin off other stories, other characters from, but make this a very defined, there's, almost like a movie, there's a beginning, middle, and an end to it.
Yeah.
And it's a 10 issue arc, isn't it? Which is no mean feat, really, is it? In this one?
Chunky issues, because we did, we can cover this in a minute, I guess, but we did the whole thing digitally first.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it very much expanded to fit the space it needed to tell the story. We didn't have initially the constraint of issues and pages and panel counts. We just let the story roll out, and however long it took to tell, and Geoff was free to draw as many panels or as few panels, or embellish, cut back, do what he wanted. So we had just this sort of rolling out of a story that we knew where it was going, but maybe it might take a few interesting twists and turns along the way. But it really wasn't terribly structured in terms of how many issues it was going to be or episodes it was going to be.
Yeah, and just on that, when I started drawing to the death, I had no idea how it was going to end, and when I found out how it was going, I was really, really, really excited about it, because it's got a really epic and spectacular finale. So,
okay,
came up with the goods right at the end as well, and it flows. I'm really happy with the way it flows, and it's action packed. It just rolls along nicely, and I'm hoping that when people read it, they'll be hooked, and it's a page turn, and people want to get the next issue, etc., etc. So it was great fun to work on.
Do you feel that your style is? I mean, it's been a few years you guys have worked together, isn't it? Do you both feel that the style of working, or what you want to write, or how you do it, has changed at all?
Well, for me, probably the drawing style's changed a bit.
Right. Why so? Have you switched styles, or
Well, I suppose because most of all this was done on screen.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I get you.
It makes a slight difference, and the approach was more of I describe it as a posh shooting board, rather than being mentally in that frame of I'm drawing a comic. Even at the when we were initially drawing the frames for the web, I was approaching more like a posh colour shooting board. So I wasn't really thinking about comics anyway. But obviously, the storyteller side is still the same. You want to tell a story clearly, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And the great thing is when it came to, I did them at reasonably high DPI anyway, because I always knew there was a chance we were going to probably turn to print. So all the frames are done at a high resolution. So when it came to put them into a page format, it actually it's working really, really smoothly, because it basically works out each 2 episodes of the web series equals one comic, one of the issues of about 48 pages. So it breaks down really nice. And then the final episode was actually quite a monster. So that actually, the last episode is the full issue of 10, but you'll see why it needs the full issue itself, because it's quite a spectacular ending.
Nice. Because 48 pages is kind of the European model as well, guys, isn't it? Was that some thought you had around it, or?
Well, I mean, part of, what we found was, we wanted, that the digital wouldn't have broken down well into standard issues.
Okay. Yeah,
we felt we wouldn't be giving people enough content if it had just been a regular length 20 or 22 page story each issue. But also, because we were doing this ourselves and we were cutting out a lot of the middlemen here, we had some of our budget we could just go into putting together a more sort of quality product, if you like, something more substantial. So, each issue's 48 pages plus covers, and it's all in that sort of prestige format, perfect bound format with a little spine.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. I like that. Yeah.
So, we went quite high end on the quality and quantity. So it would feel that even at $4.99, you're getting quite a good value for money each issue, and it would sort of forestall the need to go to a trade, a paperback or a collected edition too soon, because we always envisioned these as 10 little mini spined, comics on your shelf. So
yeah.
$4.99 is a pretty great price.
That's a good price point.
Yeah.
Imagining what it costs for a 20-page comic these days, that's a good price point. Yeah.
Yeah. So so that was what we sort of felt with it, and it was somewhat dictated by the fact that it just wouldn't have been enough in a strange way just for a 20-page or 22-page comic. It needed that chunk of stuff from the what was the digital to become the comic version, and we're really pleased we went that way because it looks a real sort of quality product now.
Yeah, and you're coming out like all guns blazing as
literally.
well. Literally, because not only have you got this like fantastic, vibrant first issue, I noticed at the back, you have like subscribe to all 10 issues. And like people can get offers such as like a free art print, the prequel for just $2.99, and a chance to be in To the Death issue 10.
Are you going to murder a load of your readers in the last issue? Is that how it works?
Well, but we wanted, because we're doing this in a twofold way. We're doing this with our partners in Comic Toolbox, and we're doing this, as a retail item through stores. So, we were trying to feed two markets at once. We wanted people to subscribe to the series, to be aware that it was available to order online. But also we've been working very hard to, interest comic stores, get it into comic stores and, rack it and display it in a way that people are going to notice it. So I do think we just wanted, to make it attractive on both sides of it. And we had the prequel almost knocking around, really, from a sort of Kickstarter thing we never did during the digital phase.
Yeah.
So we just thought, well, great, we'll make that a non-retail, more exclusive item and see where we go with that.
That's a fantastic sort of opportunity for people like you want to know more about the series as well. Those little exclusives go a long way with readers now, I think, and especially loyal readers, the people that come back. I mean, if you're talking about Kickstarters, when people join a new Kickstarter and they can get like the earlier issues, or they can get prequels, or they can get extra bits, people are always going to go for that. I mean, I know I do. I love getting all the extras and stuff.
That's the problem with obviously Kickstarting or selling the second issue, is you need that availability of number one, don't you? Otherwise, there's no more new readers as well, which is what I really like about Kickstarter at the moment. Yeah.
And what we're doing again with To the Death is we're backlist. We're never going to really reprint or do a second printing.
Okay.
It's just that throughout the run, all the issues will be constantly available to retailers or online buyers. So even if you come in at issue 4, you'll always be able to pick up issues 1, 2, and 3. So, we just wanted to keep the whole thing continually in print for its life, so that nobody kind of feels at issue 4, well, I've missed a chunk or something. So, really it should just be rolling out, all 10-ish for its 10-issue life. Stores should still be able to stock, or the digital shop will have copies of 1, 2, 3, 4, and whatever else.
I mean, that's awesome. Anyway, I did hear, Geoff, you said you had been working on issue 10. So, am I correct in thinking that all 10 issues are done?
Not in comic format. Basically what I'm doing is I'm breaking the web versions down into pages, and it's this thing where it works really smoothly, but then you might want to enlarge a frame, or you might have to size of it, etc. But the great beauty of this is it's like you get a second chance. So as you work through it, you can tweak little bits as you go along. And I know, like on issue 10, when I get there, I think we've done to issue 7 at the moment. So I've got 3 more to do. So we're ahead of quite a few months ahead, which you need
quite a few months.
But I know in issue 10 there was always things, because it was quite a big chunky episode, there were certain things at the end I thought, well, I'd like to revisit that or change that a little bit and enhance, because it's great to have that opportunity just to go over and fine tune things. So yeah. And one other thing is that I'm really pleased with the print of the colour, because when you do things on the screen, there's always this fear that what will it look like when it goes to print. But the print is just really, really good. It's really good quality print. So I'm very pleased about that as well. So it's,
you guys getting print with Mixam, and I recently done one of their print tests, which is just ridiculously cheap to get done. And I picked out like half a dozen pages, but I thought, if there's going to be a problem, they're going to be on these pages. And they came back, and I was like, wow, this is great.
Oh, okay.
It came back really well.
No,
so,
I mean,
I was impressed.
We've been really pleased with Mixam, and just the quality of it was everything we wanted. I mean, we went through quite a few tests of formats and papers and everything else, but you never really know until that final print run
is in your hand.
Is in the hand. And obviously it goes from they'll do a test version, but then very quickly, once you get to your full printing, you'll be on a sort of web offset printer, and the quality is different again. So you really don't know just until you get that final copy in your hands as to how it's turning out.
So art-wise work, Geoff, you've gone from a traditional kind of pen and paper approach. Are you working entirely digitally now?
Most of the time. I have done a few covers in ink. Initially, when I started drawing to the death, a lot of it was done actually in China, because my wife's Chinese and we were visiting family, and I'd be roughing things out. So that I used to rough the story out on paper in China, and then get home and scan in and then work from there. So, but a few of the covers I've done in ink, mainly because you want to have some kind of a record that's real, like it's not just digital, that you have some actual covers that, which are on an exhibition from the first in Orbital Comics for the 1st to the 17th. There are some original pages, covers up there on display. So to be able to show something, because obviously if everything's done digitally, then there's nothing to hang on.
That's the trouble.
I mean, did the change to digital? Because I know you ducked out of comics for a while and did some. Am I right in saying you went to advertising for a while, Geoff? Is that right?
Well, quite a few years actually.
Okay.
Strange enough, when I was in advertising, we were using magic markers for colour, etc. And then quite a few years ago, a chap came in and he was doing a digital colour, and we were sitting behind him taking notes, and it seemed quite a complex affair. Anyway, about a few days later, one of the guys, our friend there, Martin Griffiths, he said, well, actually, it's actually quite easy to do. You can just do this, and it's like click, click, and hey, you're off and colouring. And within a week of finding this out and scanning work in, I actually did my first serious job. So it only took literally a week of playing around to. But once you get the hang of it, it's actually quite straightforward.
Yeah. Okay.
Transition, and the beauty is, digitally, you don't run out of ink. That's the beauty of it all.
You're not pressing down on those magic markers.
Pens get expensive, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the great thing is, as you know, when you're digitally, if you're not happy with something, you can just step back. You don't have to cover it up or cut it out and repaint it. It's step back, and then you can redo it again. So it frees you up a bit. It's a great medium to work in.
Yeah, real.
So story-wise, Simon, in the Dragon's Claws, you've got the element of kind of like the overbearing corporation. I think it's Nurse.
Yeah.
But it doesn't play a kind of a big when you come over to the death. That seems more of a kind of an influence. The kind of, because when we go back to like the older sci-fi, when you had the kind of these the global spanning mega corporations that kind of controlled everything, which we do nowadays. that idea sort of come back around. So was that like an easy fit to bring back into the story?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we took a few of the themes, I suppose, from Dragon's Claws and that kind of time, and especially from, that kind of era of 2000 AD, which had that sort of hard-edged, sort of darkly comic, sci-fi that sort of was more a reflection of the world now than any kind of future. It was just sci-fi, the kind of warped mirror on the world today. And so, we were keen to, bring some of those themes. Dragon's Claws, I suppose before its time, was slightly eco-themed.
Yeah.
We wanted that, that felt very current and, still a cause for concern, but just much more in the public consciousness now.
Yeah.
But also, yes, the sort of the capitalist, corporation-dominated world we live in felt, again, a very good, that's really not, I was a big fan of that recent series, Years and Years.
Oh, yeah, the Russell T. Davies thing.
Yes, that's right. And what it did so cleverly, which, we have tried to do a lot in our things, is okay, sci-fi, but you can believe that it's not, terribly far off from the reality of the world we live in now. And I think we wanted that. So, there were all those elements from Dragon's Claws and other things. But, we just sort of looked at the world and it seemed a very still relevant fear.
But, oh, God, yeah.
In the end, governments are more or less obsolete, and corporations and big business and, this acquisitive drive for wealth and resources is, pushing us towards extinction. And those were those fears that we sort of injected into the death.
So, I mean, we've talked about the process and the printing, and we've properly got into the guts of it, but we haven't actually said what the synopsis of To the Death is. So, for those who don't know, what exactly is the story of To the Death?
Okay, we're in a future Earth. We're a few hundred years hence, but it could be very soon. But even, we've set it a good few hundred years in the future, and Earth is effectively a husk. It's been used up, drained of its resources by this sort of mega corporation called the Tricorp that now, basically is the government. There isn't any other authority. And they now are mining off-world planets for their resources. So they're sending out these troops into the galaxy to pacify the locals, so they're called pacifiers, and they're basically mining the resources that Earth no longer has. So it's become this global, multi-world business, and even war has become a commodity, and it's recycled as entertainment back home. Anyway, so from this sort of strange mess of a world, one of these soldiers, one of these pacifiers, a guy called Alexei Dryagin, comes back after his second tour of duty. Most don't make it through one. He's made it through two, and he's gained a kind of fan following back home. He's become a little bit of a hero, and the Tricorp fear he's become a rallying point for the dissident factions and the subversive organizations. So they decide he's outlived his sell-by date, and they're going to execute him as he steps off his landing craft. That all goes wrong. He realizes he's an endangered species. His family are in danger, and the smart thing would be to cut and run. But instead, after a series of misadventures getting actually home, he takes the fight to the Tricorp, to this trio of, we think they're people, but we're not sure, called the Triumvirate. And things just escalate from there, this situation. And in the process, he sort of uncovers a terrifying conspiracy that threatens all life that's left on planet Earth.
It's your classic epic sort of sci-fi sort of backdrop and tale there. But to do something like that, with your corporations and your planets and the wars and everything, did you create like a sort of a story bible or like background? Did you write like pages and pages of like planets and characters' histories before even attempting a script or a story or anything like that?
Well, I think Geoff, and first and foremost, Geoff and I just chewed ideas around. I didn't want to get too prescriptive with this because Geoff at his best is just like, give him the bare bones and he'll design you a world. So, it wasn't too locked down, but I said, well, look, it's this. This is the broad strokes of it. What can we do with the world? And the initial stages were that nice kind of collaborative thing where we're just feeding ideas back and forth. And, even my scripts were very loose screenplay style. So Geoff could just largely do what he wanted with large sections of it. Because, I kind of know that Geoff is just, if you sort of give him a blank canvas with some ideas, he'll just realise those and you'll go, well, that's much better than I envisioned. And then you just embellish on top of that. So that's the way it sort of went initially.
So were there any sort of characters or like designs or anything that Geoff, you put together, and then all of a sudden, Simon, you're like, oh, actually, I could write something for that. It created new story points.
Well, I mean, Geoff, you answered. You did a lot of the sort of the world stuff, didn't you? That fed a lot into the story in the end.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We wanted a world that wasn't very nice to live in, and it was just a question of roughing things out and throwing things towards Simon, saying this is how I see the world then, and we'd kick ideas around, etc. And I had I know it's sci-fi, but I must say when I was thinking of the pacifiers and Alexei Dragon, etc., I really had the film Gladiator in my head as well. So there's a certain gladiatorial feel about the characters, and it's quite gritty and rough. And I wanted it to be it's not one of these sci-fi slick worlds where it's all laser beams, etc. I mean, these guys still use what probably like heavy machine guns. I'm sure they're more advanced than that, but and swords as well. And it was a question of nobody knows what the world's going to be like in a few hundred years' time. And I wouldn't even try and guess or even try and slightly imagine what it might be like. But there's a possibility it could just be a really gritty world and not as advanced as people always assume it's going to be. A bit
plus swords look kick-ass as well, don't they?
Yeah, and we wanted that. We wanted a sort of old-fashioned, in a good way, vibe to it. We wanted it to feel sort of earthy and familiar and not too sort of ridiculously high concept or anything. We wanted it to be action in the more traditional sense, I suppose. So we didn't do any sort of lightsabers or things like that. It was far more down to earth and gritty, and the texture Geoff brought to it was often in sort of the smaller things, like the lead character's family run a little ranch, and to grow anything now, you've got to get past this choking smog layer that's over the whole planet. So they have these sort of solar zeppelins that they winch up on cables to actually be able to draw sunlight down.
Okay.
And this was all coming from the mind of Geoff Senior, and it's great because then I can sort of go, well, brilliant, I can work something with that, and then that sort of fed into how big a gulf there is between the have and the have-nots. That the privileged few live above this smog layer in the top of these cloud scrapers, and everybody else, the mass of the world, is just clustered almost for warmth around these sort of massive bits of infrastructure. So it was great, and then Geoff just goes wild with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and the thing is as I mentioned backpacks before. I meant to say jetpacks, but what I was going to say was when I was a kid reading Countdown and loving UFO, the TV program, I don't remember the initial start, the credits at the start of UFO, but it flashed at 1980. And 1980 on UFO, there's a moon base, etc., etc. And, it's wow. But then you got to 1980, nothing of the sort. And it's like, people just assume people are going to fly around in jetpacks. None of this usually happens, and it's almost like,
what do we do with technology? All we do is argue about Star Wars on the internet now, Geoff.
Right. But, I think that the future could be far more gritty than we expect, and it's not all slick and Star Wars.
Yeah.
So what has the process been like for you guys doing this sort of independent kind of route, you know, compared to like the stuff you used to do before? You know, To the Death is, you know, it's grim grit, it's really polished, but it's an independent book as well. You know, how has this been like, putting this together and going that sort of format, you know, finding printers and ways of distribution, etc.? Has it been a challenge?
Yeah, it's been lots of challenges. I mean, we've been helped considerably once we sort of teamed up, I guess, with Comic Toolbox, and they brought all that sort of the stuff we didn't really know how to accomplish in a sort of practical, logistical way to the mix. And, you know, we didn't really want to go via a traditional publisher. We didn't want that oversight or that, you know, that way you can kind of get tied in with, you know, another company. We just wanted to do it ourselves, but the logistics kind of scared us, and we didn't think we would be the best people to do that. And so, you know, when we got into this sort of, I suppose, sort of co-publishing venture with them, it just made everything so much easier. We were free to focus on, you know, the story, the promotion of the story, the signings, the so forth. And then they came in with all the logistical, well, we know printers, we know we can distribute, we can, you know, get in touch with comic stores, and you know, we can cut out not simply the publisher, but also the distributor, and it really go it our own way. And for them, it was the perfect launch pad for this sort of indie portal they're developing, where creators can bring their projects to them for a sort of no strings, easier route to market.
So, I mean, with this project, this is the first time I've heard of Comic Toolbox. And like you say there, you know, it sounds really interesting what they do. I mean, who exactly are they, and how did you initially come together?
You know, they are Adrian and Dave Clark, and they also, as part of their, well, I mean, they've got several sort of web-based businesses, but among that is getmycomics.com, which is a sort of online pull list for people just wanting a guide to what to shop for, and collating, you know, sort of crossovers and everything into an easy way to shop, I suppose. But, you know, they also had, just because they mail stuff out, they take stock in, they're used to dealing with, you know, the comic book business, they sort of understood everything in a way that really helped us. And, you know, Adrian particularly, although both of them used to sort of run a comic shop themselves, a sort of physical comic shop back in the day. So, you know, Adrian particularly was a fan of comics and of our work. So we just got in contact through sort of other routes, through conventions and so forth. And just it came out that maybe they could help us and maybe we could help them.
Yeah, just on the all that side, the logistics and the printing, etc. I mean, I could see it was ferociously complicated. I was just sort of kept myself separate from that. I used to see emails flying back and forward between Adrian and Simon about, oh, we can do this, and this, and this is what we can do here, and etc. And I thought, wow, that's really complex. So I kept well back from that and concentrated on just getting the pages together. But we'd meet up every month or so. We'd have a meet up to catch up to where we are, and I would generally sit quietly, listen to all the logistic talk, etc. And again, I'd be able to sit quietly having a drink while these guys thrashed out the complex stuff, because I thought, this is what they're good at. I'm doing the drawing. These guys know what they're doing, so they can do that side of it.
Yeah. So leave you alone just to do the art, which is kind of where a publisher sits anyway. You would hope, wouldn't you? Yeah.
You know, but it's been very collaborative. You know, although yes, they're sort of handling all our sort of, you know, the getting it out to comic stores. You know, a lot of the marketing promotion side has been sort of shared out between us, and you know, they're just very good. And when we launched at MCM a couple of months ago, and you know, maybe not even a couple of months ago, maybe a month ago. And, you know, they're great because, you know, they bring, you know, I don't like to say we're not professional, but we're professional comic creators, but we're not necessarily professionals at, you know, putting together a stand and, you know, sort of putting our product out there to the best possible effect. And they again brought a lot of that to the party and said, look, we'll make you look very good, and they did.
Yeah, there's two sides to it, isn't there? We love just to write and draw, but there's so much more to it, isn't there?
It is. If you want to actually get your product out there and actually sort of it's meant a lot of engaging with UK comic store owners, which has been also really enjoyable.
Okay, you must know different comic store owners than me then. I'm only joking, Simon. I'm only joking.
But actually, it has been good, and we've had, it hasn't all been sort of smooth and plain, but largely we've had a great amount of support from comic stores, and people who just get it, what we're trying to do, and they're willing to take a chance on us a little bit. And
yeah, of course. I mean, you see it at conventions. People love your stuff, you guys. Especially when you work together. People go nuts for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have that audience, but we wanted to reach a bigger, wider audience. We wanted to bring new people. Yeah. It's all very well. We have got this sort of, I hate to use the word fan base, but we've got people who know our work. Grew up with it. Yeah. But To the Death is totally entry level. There's no baggage to it. It's a very straightforward, here's a world, here's a problem, here's a bigger problem, here's how things escalate.
Let's fire some guns as well. Always good.
And so we wanted it, we did want it in that way that let everybody in, and they helped us again by sort of giving us that, we'll get it in front of people, we'll talk to people who will just, see a new comic and maybe take a chance on it. So, it's been important to us, to as much as we want to sort of appeal to our fans from back in the days of Dragon's Claws and Death's Head and Transformers. We really want that new audience.
And the thing is as Simon just said, it's the fact that the Dragon's Claws, Death's Head fans, etc., they're probably all in their 40s now, and which is great, and they come to the stall, etc., and say hi, how you doing? Which is really nice. And sometimes there are kids with them, which is great, and there you are. And it's great. So it's like a new generation of readers, but it is trying to reach new people who don't know who we are.
Of course.
Young people as well who don't know who we are.
And MCM was very helpful with that. We sort of just stopped people more or less as they were wandering around, introduced them to the Death, to us, and a lot of them who just sort of paused to pick it up and have a look walked off with a copy. So it was gratifying to think that it felt like something they could just pick up and enjoy on a level they understood. We've got a lot of touchstones like Starship Troopers and Aliens and all those things, and we can say it's a bit like that and a bit like that, but we really wanted people just to tell them what it's about, show them an issue, look at our screen, which had a whole bunch of sort of episode type scenes running, and engage them, and lots of them did, which we were really pleased about.
And even the video, the screen had a video running, and we've got our own music by Richard Chance, which is great.
Yeah,
nice one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Trailer.
We actually have a theme, so, and we've been helped out so much by so many people. I mean, we've in a way sort of, had our friends and people we know help us out with the skills we didn't have. We've got Paul Goodenough, who does all our sort of web-based stuff, and is really good at the sort of, just sort of problem solving on that level. We have James Dodsworth, who does our sort of marketing, promotion stuff. We've got Richard, who did our score. We've got a guy called Martin and a company called Amazing 15 doing our design work. And these people are either doing it for the sheer love of it or, not very much money because, and so we've been really blessed with a team that has really helped us out here.
Absolutely. Without them, it would have been very difficult to do it. To be honest, we really need these people to help, and it's been we're incredibly grateful.
Well, it's nice to see that as well. To be honest, I mean, there's been a lot of buzz about this book. But
there has been, yeah.
So, I mean, but it's nice to see like a team's getting a shout out as well. I mean, I know you guys obviously are going to, but sometimes you don't see that from some creators. When they come back and there's a lot of buzz, but you're giving credit where credit's due, and it is a band sort of project, as it were. And this is just going to go from strength to strength, I think. I mean, obviously you're at MCM, but what is your convention plan for this, as it were, moving forward?
Well, I mean, we're doing a lot of store signings. We did Forbidden Planet London the other weekend, just after the launch of issue 1. We've got a signing at Orbital coming up at the end of the 2.5-week gallery thing they're running of Geoff's original art. I'm at Hyper Japan. We're both at London Film and Comic Con. We've got a couple of other store signings, Banbury, Penzance, and just generally we're getting out there as much as possible, because again the onus is on us, on no one else, to make it a success or to raise awareness. So we're getting out there as much as possible.
Sorry, and just on that, I literally before we came on air, I emailed Simon. We've got a great friend of ours, Sean Kelly, and he can make the most amazing stuff. And so we're getting him to make Alexei Dragon's battle outfit. And he sent us some pictures of the helmet in progress, and it is absolutely stunning.
Nice.
It will be quite spectacular.
So will you have that on when I see you next time, Geoff? Are you going to be...
I'm not waist size anymore. We need some student, some hunky student to wear it.
I mean, we're hoping we'll have it for London Film and Comic Con, and it'll be great to have.
They love that stuff there, don't they? That'll go down.
It'll just be great to have, Dryargin wandering around and like Geoff says, the stuff we've seen so far just looks amazing, So we think it's going to look a very, very cool, cosplay style outfit. But, specifically for To the Death.
Nice.
Well, I'm going to look forward to seeing pictures of that over the next
few months. Yeah, that sounds great.
So, obviously, issue 1 is out now. Is it going to be? It's monthly released. Is that what you're aiming for?
It's very much monthly. In fact, it's 4 weekly.
Right,
okay.
And
because we do have this, quite a considerable lead time, we can pretty much guarantee that every issue will be 4 weeks after the last one, and if not, Comic Toolbox will be on our case as to why not. But as Geoff said, we have issue 7 more or less.
Yeah, I guess also when you're doing issue 1 as well, and this is something we've experienced on the podcast ourselves, is a lot of the work goes into the issue 1 in terms of laying out the way things look, logos, interior page, the credits pages, how it looks at the back. Once you have that style, then essentially what you have to worry about is just putting the content, isn't it? Putting the story each time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot's set up now. Everything is more or less, when we send out, we don't have Diamond previews because we're not going via Diamond, but we send out to retailers our own little small version of that for To the Death, just as the digital thing. And, that, is into a pattern now. Each issue is into a pattern. But the scary thing is now we are on a 4-week schedule. Suddenly it's all a little more, oh my God, we really have got to get the next issue now and the next issue. So it's all been great so far, because it's like, it's felt a long way off, but now we are literally on a clock every month. So it's a little tense in that respect, but really good.
It's going to be an exciting year. I mean,
it's going to be a great book to read through the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if it starts now, issue 10 will be in, well, I guess 10 months, isn't it? So
yeah, it'll be March next year that we wrap up. So March 2020 will be issue 10.
Wow, so you're not going to stop until March 2020. Just think about that.
And nothing will change the level of us having to be out there and promoting it, and at some point we will need to, hopefully it's doing well enough for us to look at what our next project will be in the same model. So,
I'm hoping it's going to be Death's Head. You're just going to get on Death's Head and never leave. Is that a plan or?
That'd be ace.
Unfortunately, Death's Head is a Marvel character.
I know. We need you guys on it though. I want it back again.
To do more, and they're doing a Death's Head series.
They are. You're not on it, so I'm not going to read it.
But I'm always pleased when I see Death's Head back in print and in any form by anyone. And and all it means is if this is popular, who knows? Maybe there's a series or another series
or a movie.
Do a little team up again on it.
The thing is, the thing I always think about that character is one of the few ones who's been in Transformers, Doctor Who, Iron Man. It's been in so many things, isn't it?
I mean, in some ways, he's the perfect guest star, but we kind of want him to be, the perfect lead star as well.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
We've got Killator in this though, so he's a
we've sort of got a Death's Head-ish character into the Death. We decided we wanted to sort of, again, this was one of those evolution things. Killator didn't actually exist in the original story outline we had.
Right.
Part way in, we just thought, how can we take this up another notch? And I think it was Geoff who said, let's bring in a sort of, a kind of alien, not exactly a bounty hunter, but mercenary or, something a little more in that sort of unstoppable mode that, we kind of love from our own love of sci-fi things. Yeah. And so out of that came Killator, who changed our course really of it. So that was that nice organic flow of it. It sort of changed a little bit as we went along.
Cool.
Wow, so nice. There's tons of stuff to look forward to. So if people want to check out the issue or pick up a copy, obviously if they see you at a show, go up and say hello to the guys and get lots of goodies. But online, etc., where can they see more of the book?
Well, they can, if they want to order online, they can go to getmycomics.com /to-the-death. There's a dedicated page, and you can pick up single issues. You can subscribe. And there's all sorts of offers that we'll be doing through that. But also generally, we're in comic stores, pretty much across, the nation UK, we're in comic stores from Scotland to Cornwall to Northern Ireland, and, the plan is to hopefully go to America to, further afield as well. So, I think you can just decide how you want to pick up To the Death, but it should be available in your local comic book store. And, we always encourage people to support their local comic book stores and walk in and pick up a copy off the stands. And we've got comic stores have also, some of them, taken our nice little branded To the Death countertop display units. So, you should find it quite prominently in a lot of stores.
Nice. They know what they're doing, don't they, guys?
Yeah.
What about digitally? Is it going to be available digitally, or is it?
Well, I mean, it has already been available digitally, but we've taken that down now. We're doing the print, but we will be going on to Comixology in due course.
Nice.
And another little bonus, if you do buy through getmycomics.com, as well as getting the physical copy sent to you, you also get a readable version for your tablet, phone, home computer. So you can read it in transit or just wait for your printed copy.
I think that's always good.
That is a good idea. I like it when people do that.
Yeah. Well, and what about online, etc.? Because you guys, no doubt, with the promoting this, you must have had to use your social media more and more. Where can people find you online?
Well, I mean, we're both on Facebook and Twitter. Geoff's on Instagram. To the Death has its dedicated Facebook page and Twitter account. So just generally, I mean, we've got a website, which is www.to-the-death.com, and that has links to the issues, links to Get My Comics, links to our Facebook and Twitter. So, you can find us sort of pretty easily. And yes, we are very active at the moment on social media, even though we've more or less had to drag Geoff kicking and screaming into the world.
Yeah, I've got a certain social media, but obviously I'm not as social as most people. But hard work. I'm getting better. I'm getting better. But
you would never know, Geoff. You've been an absolute star.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
They retweet my stuff.
Well, thank you very much, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure.
And, cheers. Thank you.
Likewise. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you, Vince, Tony, and Dan. I appreciate it very much.
I'll get that book out to you, Geoff.
Absolutely. I'll see you at LFCC.
Hang on to it.
Are you guys going to be at LFCC?
I'm going to probably visit, dude. I don't know if I'm going to be. I'm not tabling at it.
No.
Yeah, I'll pop in definitely.
Okay, well, do come and say hi when you're there.
Thank you.
Yeah,
definitely.
and we'll have to try and make it down to that gallery show.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
It's a serious assemblage of Geoff's art. Some amazing stuff. We've got the original painted posters to Death's Head and Dragon's Claws.
Nice.
So the original art for those. Amazing amount of stuff. We've had various people. Adrian from Get My Comics has brought in his kind of collection of Geoff's stuff. I had stuff, and various other guys have brought in their precious pieces of art. And so I think it's going to be a really stunning exhibition.
Amazing.
Well, that's my local comic shop, so I'll be in there definitely. Yeah, cool.
Thanks again, guys.
Thank you.
See you guys.
See you.
Thanks a lot.
There you go, folks. Wasn't that awesome?
It's good, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was
That's
really
been
good.
long. That's a long time coming. We're at episode 208 or something. Are we now? Been wanting them on since episode 8, probably.
Yeah.
I've been talking about Dragon's Claws we've been talking about it for fucking years.
Yeah.
We have. Yeah.
And I remember how excited you were at True Believers, Dan, when Geoff Senior was there.
Yeah, I was very.
Yeah. He had his geek out moment.
The reference we talked to in the show, I gave Geoff a copy of Vanguard Book 2, and he emailed me and he was apologising. He said he lost it. He thinks he put it down in the cafe.
I thought he lost it in the park or something.
One of those.
Oh, I might. Okay.
I'll sort him out with another copy.
There's obviously a black market of Vanguard trades out there somewhere, isn't there?
Yeah.
I'd like to think some lucky readers got that and then probably just tossed it in the bin or something.
No, surely not, Dan.
I always think if you did you printed out a load of sample pages like ash cans and stuff and gave them to people free. I wonder how many of them would end up just in the recycling bin. That's the only thing that would kind of that put me off doing that.
Some people do, but I've heard. I remember Jamie Lambert from Dexter's Half Dozen. They put out little sort of A6 ash cans, just free ones, just black and white. They do a new story just for people to pick up. And he said to me in the past that people will go away like a 2-day convention as well. Sometimes they'll just take that, and then he's had people come back the next day and sort of pick up actual comics.
Interesting.
They were quite collectible for a while, weren't they? Those ash cans. I know a lot of the Image guys were doing them for a while, weren't they, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay. I bought a you go on Amazon, you get those. Is it third-party sellers or something, whatever they're called?
Yeah.
So I bought a copy of Springworth off one of them just to see how it happened. Yeah.
Came through okay.
It cost £2.40, and then I pressed buy, and then I realised that the postage was £5.60.
So they get you.
Yeah, I wonder who that was.
Chestnut.
I'll find you. You.
I know.
Tony,
what they don't realise is you individually signed or numbered all of them, so you know who went out.
Yeah, do a little symbol on the back, the symbol of the devil.
Yeah. Always a good thing to put on a kid's book.
Yeah, I love it.
But one thing that Tony also does, he gets about a bit. Now, I know there's lots of jokes there that people are going to make, but we're talking about getting out to conventions.
Always ladies might want to tell.
But we had a little bit about... should we start with Macc Powell before getting on to the most recent one? Because you only briefly spoke about it before, didn't you? Do you want to tell us a bit more about that?
We recorded with Corey
Yeah.
before Macc Powell.
Yeah.
And then literally after we recorded, Mark Jackson, who runs it, pal of mine, good guy, he put out the table plan, and I was next to Corey. So we were next to each other. So after me shouting at Corey, because I was a bit off the rails that episode, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Shouting that we were now best friends. I was actually next to Corey, and we had the fucking funniest day ever. We were laughing the whole day, especially when I had a picture with the mayor of Macclesfield, which was quite
which made my day.
Yeah, just about as they press click on the camera, the mayor realised that I was taking the mickey and didn't really want a picture of the mayor of Macclesfield. Just thought it was funny. But she was good. And then I asked her if she was a Doctor Strange cosplayer, because she had that big sort of bracelet, necklace thing going on. And which she went, what? Like that. And then we had sort of joke, and now we're engaged. But it was the big difference. The two events, I'm going to briefly touch on 3 events. So the first event, the Mac Power, was very much family run, family attended event for free in a town hall in Macclesfield, which is actually quite a nice town. Actually, I was quite surprised. I don't really like Northerners, but it was actually quite a nice place.
A backhanded compliment.
Yeah. I said this to the mayor. I had to walk up this go and park the car and then walk up this long cobbled hill, like you get in the Hovis advert.
Yeah.
I walked up that, and there was a pie shop on the right.
Of course it was.
Yeah, and it was opposite. This is what I found weird. It was opposite a lingerie shop. Now, what's going on there? I don't know. What's the sales technique there? You eat out.
No. Do you know what? I've just made a horrible sort of play on words in my head, and I'm not going to say it on this show.
Say it later. Text me. So you come out eating a pie, and you think, oh no, I'm eating a pie. I'm proud of myself. I buy my lady some lingerie.
Or eat something else.
Hang on. When does that combo ever happen?
I don't know.
Often.
Yeah, it was a strange one. I did mention it to the mayor, and she gave me a sort of knowing wink.
Oh, well, I suppose you're engaged, aren't you? So, like, you've...
Yes, that's all right. It's all right. Okay. So it's good that I was right next to Corey. Rachel Smith was the other side of me, so we had like an absolute blast all day. Ian and Nicole, if you listen to the Lakes podcast this week, there's me trying to put Ian off while he interviews me, which is quite funny.
It's not like you.
Yeah, thank you. So we had a laugh. Lou Stringer was there, so I chatted with Lou, and it's been a while since I saw Lou. Listener Drew Hurd was there, come over and had a chat. Thanks, Drew. Good to see you, man. Nice to finally meet you. He was very complimentary about the podcast, so we did all right. Yeah, did all right. It's a good day. Sold a few no-brow things. All went for a pizza afterwards, and I drove back. It was all right. Yeah, I'd if it's within travelling distance for you and that sort of thing, I'd recommend it. It was very much not your average. There was very few sort of comic people turn up as punters. It was more locals,
Yeah.
Okay.
So like families were buying Hilda books, and there was a lot of sort of older ladies and men coming in, and I'd just sort of chat to them, and they didn't really know about comics, but they'd go away with a comic. It's like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a community thing, really. It was good. So I did Mac Pow, and then came back, and then the Sunday I went to the Comic Mart, met the Don Sheaf there. Rich was there. Had a good chat with him. Met Norman Boyd, who I've not met before. He's pretty much an expert in old British comics. So we had and Simon Russell came and joined the conversation. It was a good chat. Bought a load of dirty old paper, carried it home, read it. And then I'm literally, as we speak, just back from Glasgow. Now, neither of you have done Glasgow, I'm going to think. Is that right?
No. Yes.
Yeah.
No.
So it's run by Nicola Love and the BHP crowd. In fact, if you buy a ticket, I think it comes back from the BHP website, I think. It's a big deal, Glasgow. It's a one-day event, but it's very... I took a picture of the queue, actually, because I went up there to see if it's worth no Brad doing it, sort of thing. And I was sort of thinking, oh, look at the queue. And the queue went all the way round the sort of concert hall it was in. There's a long queue of people. I'm going to say quite cosplay heavy.
Okay.
A lot of cosplay. To the point where there was a lot of like blocking of stairs and stuff like not fire, not let's call the fire brigade in blocking of stairs. Do you know what I mean? But like a lot of people in your way in cloaks and all this sort of thing. They had some great guests. So I have to say, Chip Zdarsky, he puts his time in. He was at the table virtually the whole time. I noticed at one point he went off for a wee and he came back and I thought, oh, where is he? He's not at his table. That's unusual. And he was talking to the queue while shaking his hands dry from legging it back. And I thought that's a sign of a good guy. Do you know what I mean? I like that.
Yeah.
And he sat in on Silence, which is Dan White's podcast. Who was our previous guest and a good guy. They do like a. It's not really a panel. It's more like a fucking stage show. And they refused to call Chip Zdarsky Chip. They called him Crisp because they said chips in England are crisps, and they called him Chris Zdarsky, which I thought was quite good. There's I will say I think the venue is a little underused. There's a lot of space because it's a big old venue, but they seem to cram it into a few rooms. So the indie and small press were in two sort of long sections that they're not quite corridors. Well, they kind of are corridors around this on the top floor, or second from top floor, and then downstairs is a bigger hall that's got your usual, crap that you get, like your MCMs and stuff like that. But also did have quite a few back issue and trade sales going on, so I bought some stuff there. And the biggest hall of all was where they had the talks in. I would have changed that around. I would have reversed that if it was down to me. But then again, it's not down to me because I didn't put any work in. So what can you say? I've got a little list of names. I'll rattle through them. I went to the the Scottish Comic Awards the night before that. So I met Ian Kennedy there. So that's quite cool. But at the event and in and around the event were Paul Tonner, Gareth Slightholme, had a good chat with Gareth, the Maddius Boys, Gary Watson. I'd wander around with Gareth. Gareth was a good company. Phil McFarlane, Ludology, he was there.
Oh, nice.
The Mighty Cannon, Johnny Cannon, he's always good company. I really enjoyed John's. We had a great conversation about art. Brian Rankin, hello Brian, who's a listener, who I met up with, and good guy. It messaged me saying he didn't give out quite that he enjoys the show when I met him, but afterwards he texted me, said, "Nah, I do listen to it." He did one of those on me, but yeah, he's a good guy. John Tucker and Lauren were there. John was on form, as was Lauren. Gavin, Emily were there. Christina Basinski, past guest. Nice. She's always good company. Mark Abnett is a listener and also a creator, so I bought a couple of his books. Mr. McCulloch was there, so it was good to see James. Always good company. And the Mighty Harris was there. She was there, so I had a coffee with Sarah in the middle of the day. She's doing all right. Fraser Campbell also seemingly doing all right because he wasn't very well for a while, was he? But good to see him back on the mend. Metafrog were there. Stephen Ingram's and someone who we're about to hear an interview from as well. So it was a busy, hot as fuck, boiling. Everyone was sweating their bollocks off kind of show. Nice. But there's a real buzz, and I've said it about Scotland before, but I don't know. Everyone seems to be in it to win it together in Scotland. Here we're all a bit fractured.
Yeah.
But up there it seems like that,
Yeah. But I mean, over the past couple of years, there's been a real sort of, well, not resurgence, but it's just been more where the quality that's coming out from the Scottish creators and stuff is just amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, definitely want to make it to one of these shows before. But you said we've got a tiny little extra, haven't we? Yeah,
it's only just a 3-minute interview with Pete Watson. You'll hear what it's about. I know we talked about his book previously, but it's now out. You can buy it. Have a little listen here. Here with Pete Watson or Peter.
Either doesn't matter.
Okay, and he's done a comic called, let me pronounce this The Lang Walk Hame.
Yay!
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about. I backed it. We mentioned it on the podcast before. But it's about needing a wee.
Yeah, this is the greatest comic ever created. That is based on a poem about a drunk man coming home from the pub one night who is caught short, so to speak. And it's all about the fantasies, comedic fantasies he has en route.
Right.
So the actual journey part of the story is fantastically drawn. My partner in crime there, Gordon Johnson.
Oh, Gordon who's sitting down there. I didn't realise it was Gordon. No, okay. Right, yeah.
And we've got the cream of Scottish talent drawing all the fantasy scenes.
You got like Neil Lawrence.
Yep.
You got
I'll run through some of the lists here because I've got it here, so don't miss anyone out. We've got Neil Lawrence, Alan McRitchie, David Fraser, Craig Collins, Chris Manson, David Cooper, Jay Sharp, Jake Haney, and Alan Henderson.
Oh, the Henderson's in it. I've just been speaking to Alan over there.
Yeah, no penguins in it though.
No, what's wrong with him?
I've got great colours by Chris McCauley and Rob Jones did the lesson.
Oh, nice. Oh, Chris, I know from 2000 AD boards, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Oh, Chris is a fantastic guy.
Yeah, he's good, isn't he?
He was so keen to be on board, so yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, cool.
The one of the things I really like about it is the perfect stance that's drawn by someone who needs a piss.
Well, we've all been there. I like to say it's based on a familiar story, so we don't confess anything. But it's literally, we have all been there, and it's just fun. And it's a great showcase for all these talented guys.
Yeah. So why a poem?
Well, that's what it originally was. a few years back, my incredible wife Christine, who's over there, she suggested that I go to a writing class just to try and, channel my creative, my stagnant creative talents, as she put it. So, so we went there and we were told, like, next week we're going to do poetry, and I was thinking, poetry? What do I know about poetry? The last poem I wrote was, like, in third year in high school, and it was 16 words, a bit of fire, and most of those words are repeated, but because I cheated, you see. I tried to make it sound arty. So, I went along there, and basically, when I was going home that night, I thought, I kind of need to go to the toilet here. And then I thought, hang on. And that's what gave me the idea for the poem. So I wrote the poem, and then after I did that, I thought, I've been a lifelong comic fan, and I've always wanted to write comics. And I kept on thinking about the poem and thinking the imagery in this could really be visualised. And I think we could do something really special with it. And I met up with Gordon, who of Hot Shits fame. And I thought, there's a man with some fantastic talent who also loves a good pun and some wordplay. Yeah. And I think he's the ideal person to,
it's great, man.
To be up with. And he's been incredible. He was on board straight away, and he actually suggested, let's do this as a fantastic giant jam piece with, as I said, the best Scottish talent. So
it's great.
And here we are.
Now, I won't hold you up because you've got customers, but my big question is, you've done a book about needing a number one in the number one issue.
You're wondering when number two comes out. Keep posted. Follow us on Facebook at the Langlock Game and you'll find out more.
Good. Ideal. Nice one. Thanks, man.
Well, isn't that nice, Tony? No matter where you go, you always manage to get some audio somewhere.
And I guess you always get a nice little poo joke in.
Yeah.
Give me up.
Yeah. Wherever you can get them, you'll get a poo joke in. Yeah.
Always funny.
It is always funny. But So hope everyone that was at Glasgow Comic Con had a great weekend. It's definitely one to look out for.
Really busy. Well. Yeah, and they even have like little sort of Facebook groups afterwards where you can go and have a beer with people and stuff like that. Okay. It's a non-stop one. Yeah.
I've got to say, I prefer a kind of a one-day con as opposed to like a 2 or 3 day affair.
Right. There's very few cons that have got enough in them to satisfy you for 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if you're going to go to Glasgow, though, little tip, go to the Radisson Red. It's about a mile. It's a nice walk along the Clyde to get to the venue, but it's the hotel that's got Frank Quitely drawings all over the walls.
Oh, that looked beautiful.
Oh, nice.
Mate, amazing. Yeah, and a complete coincidence. So I booked this hotel just because it was on booking.com and went there, and I'm like, that's Frank Quitely. And then I went go in my room, and all over the walls, the wardrobes, the Frank Quitely drawings and stuff like that. And I was speaking to one of the ladies on reception. She says she has to do like a 40-minute walk through the hotel, check on each floor. And she says she loves it because it's all full of this great comic art, And weirdly, I got to meet Frank on the Friday night because he was at the awards.
Oh, nice one.
Yeah, it's like proof that the world is made of robots and everything is planned.
Yeah. And you could tell him that you look at his work when you go to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about you when I was in bed. And then I came out this morning. I came out of the hotel this morning and parked outside were a load of like black Range Rovers and a bus with Tyson Fury's picture on the side of it. And I said to one of the people there, I said, "Oh, it's Tyson Fury," and he said, "We're not meant to tell you." I said, "Okay," and like winked.
Yeah.
And then literally, I was having some bran flakes for breakfast for hitting the road, and the fire alarm went off, and everyone sort of poured out of the hotel, and I thought, I bet he's done that on purpose. Something's happened.
There, I can see him. I mean, you don't have to be the world's greatest detective to see like a massive coach with Tyson Fury is here with his picture on the side.
Picture on it, yeah. And they didn't even park in the car park. Yeah. They just parked out the front door on the double yellows. So,
Well, that's just rude.
Yes.
That's rude.
The only good thing about it was the fire alarm went off, so they had to open the gates of the car park, so I didn't have to pay 3 days of parking.
Nice. Legend. Every
I was like, who's fucking parked there? I'm going to have a word with that. It's Tyson Fury. Leave him. Leave it.
Right, I'm not putting a fog on him for that one. Anyway, but what we got now, we got some shout-outs and some recommendations. Yes. So, Tony, you've always got some shouts.
Yeah, I've got 2. So, go and back Actors on Kickstarter from Stuart McCune. I was chatting to Stuart the other day. Good. Looks spooky AF. And he'll come through with it, Stuart. He's great on Kickstarters, and He smashed his title, but you will want this because it's a new thing from him. Also, William Hazel, who I reviewed Alisa Dark on the blog about a month ago, and it's basically a really, really cool story about. Imagine, you used to get like these horror TV movie hosts, like Elvira, and this sort of thing. Where it's basically Glasgow's version of that. She hosts a sort of horror show on the local TV, and she also rides a motorbike about and kicks demons' arses on the streets of Glasgow. Really well drawn, really good stuff from William Hazel, and it's coming out. There's issue 2 comes out on IndieGoGo, I think this week at some point. So just look up Alisa Dark, Alisa Dark, Dark on IndieGoGo and back it because it's worth it. And he's also done it magazine size, like an old Elvira or an old Creepy magazine or something like that. So it's good stuff. There you go.
Nice. I've got a couple. First off, and I know Tony will back me up on this. Big shout out and thanks to Damien Edwardson.
Yes,
he's a dude.
Put through, love it.
Someone that we've come to the attention of recently, ever since Lawless. Actually, we had a table near him, and like.
Oh, is that how you met him? I wondered now. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Good guy, and also an amazing artist.
He's an art beast.
Yeah, got his sketchbook Volume 1, which is brilliant in itself. So definitely check out his work because I tell you what, there's a Dread piece in here. That's 2000 AD cover.
Yeah, that is. Do you know the one I liked was the one there's a face with a tentacle wrapped around it, and the composition is really well done on that. And I think that's a style. It's about 2/3 of the way through the book, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
That's the style. I'd love to see a book in that style sort of thing. But he also did me a Cockney Kung Fu pin-up, which I put on Instagram and got loads of hits. And it's really good.
And he added a red mask.
Of course.
As well.
Yeah.
And I think that face with the tentacle on, I think that's him.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But no, he's great artist, great
like
bloke. And if you go to Art92, that's the words art92.com, you can find out more of his work and get hold of the sketchbook, which he's putting out for I think it's about £5 at the moment. You get a nice glossy A3 print of the cover as well, which is like a zombified face, which is just brilliant. So he's one to watch out for.
Can I just say a quick one? So I got The Hammer through from Kieran Squires on Kickstarter, which is a graphic novel, which is absolutely fucking 600% smashed its target. I haven't read it yet. I will be reading it this week. But he also included a drawing of the three of us.
Oh yes,
yes, that's
fantastic. Yeah, that's really good.
Very cool of him. Yeah, really good. Looks good. It's a really professional package as well. The graphic novel looks really nice.
You love a professional package, don't you, Tony?
I do.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself. But my other shout out is it's going to be BAM Comic Art and Zine Fair happening on July the 13th at the Comedia in Bath from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Entry is completely free, and there is a massive lineup of creators. I've been controlling.
Dan keeps saying yes.
Yeah, are you excited about it, Dan?
Yes.
As well you should be, because there's a huge sort of lineup of guests and exhibitors there. Just put up the final blog today with the last few, including like Rick Jackson amongst others, and some new. What I love about this, I know sort of I'm kind of involved in some of the organisation of it, but Rachel Lee Carter, who's been getting sort of illustrators and comic makers and stuff, getting all the exhibitors in. There's lots of new names that I've been checking out their work.
Yeah, that's me.
And it's making a sort of mental shopping list as well. So there's lots of stuff that I'm going to get on the day, and there's lots of great creators. Some of whom have been on the show before, and there are some exclusives. For instance, the first 100 people through the door will get an exclusive John Tucker BAM Comic Art and Zine Fair poster.
That is awesome.
I want one of them.
Yeah. So he's got them printed. I mean, God bless him. He's been a huge supporter as well of this show. It's a fantastic one-page sort of strip about a sniper. I'll say no more than that. And the thing is, it's only kind of exclusive to our show because it's got the date and the title, and the title on it. So it's not something that he's going to have anywhere else because that would be kind of pointless. So as soon as you get through the door, if you get one of those posters, go see John's table, get him to sign it, and get some of his fantastic work as well. Yeah, there's a great lineup of guests. We're shouting about it on the sort of Twitter and stuff as well. You know, there's no excuse not to come, and I'm shouting about it as much as I can. But if you, for instance, on Twitter, follow at BAM_fair. On Instagram, it's at BAM_comiczine_art_fair. And the blog is bamcomicfair.blogspot.com, where we've announced all the exhibitors the past few sort of weeks. I've just been announcing exhibitor, you know, from the likes of No Brow Press, Jason Garatli, you know, Mike Garley. You know, we've got a fantastic group of people here, Prolix, Russell Mark Olsen, you know, Happy Clam, etc. There's tons coming down for the day. And like I say, it's free entry, so we want all and sundry there at the day, checking out all this brilliant work. It's going to be packed, and it's going to be a great day. And also, Bath's just a lovely city as well, so you can quite easily have a lovely day, pop in, get some comics or illustrations or whatever, and then go enjoy I don't know, what do people do if they want to have a nice evening? They go out for
dogging.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking about going to a restaurant for a meal.
I
think that says more about you two than it does about anyone else, doesn't it?
I was thinking more about our listenership.
Yeah.
Well, listeners, I think more of you than these two degenerates.
If you come and see Vince, he'll have made you a mixtape as well, just to go away with a musical.
Speaking of
don't
John
test
Tucker,
me, Frodo.
I would listen to Y Comics.
It's good, wasn't it? Yeah, he was doing that.
With John Tucker.
Yeah.
If you go to oktruebelievers.com/y-comics, the second episode is with John Tucker, and the first episode with you, Tony, which is absolutely brilliant.
Rubbish.
Yeah.
No, I really enjoyed it.
They're both really good, actually. Yeah, highly recommend.
Yeah,
that.
they're kind of, it's the same question, but it's tackled.
Yeah, we go at it differently, don't we?
Yeah, go very differently. Yeah. John's are more kind of like talking about like how he does his thing. And it's very insightful, and you, Tony, about
John's a good talker, isn't he, as well? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. He really, I found it a really easy listen. Yeah. Speaking of BAM, quickly as well, I've received a box from the printers today with a few cheeky free gifts from No Brow. So come by the table and get some little postcards, which have got a sneaky peek at the next Hilda book and stuff like that. So
brilliant.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah.
And also, if you are going to pop on the day, then give me a DM on Twitter or whatever, because I've opened up a little commission list. What do you mean hipster?
Give me a DM.
Well, I don't know.
Slide into DMs.
See, I didn't go that bad.
Can I give one final shout out for Kickstarter for Michael Phoenix's Gods and Men issue 2, Gods of Men.
I think that.
You're gonna have about 12 hours or so from when you hear this tomorrow on Monday to back this. It's already made its target, but this is for a print.
Oh, has he made it? Has he? I haven't looked at it for a couple of days. Yeah,
it's a print version of the comic. If I've been fortunate enough to read a press copy and advanced copy, and it's just carnage, absolutely sort of invincible level, balls to the wall, shit getting wrecked. It's really good.
Oh, nice! Wow,
I love a ball to the wall.
Get your balls out on the wall.
Pardon?
Yeah. If it's nice and cool. These days, if the wall's a little bit cool, it does cool you down if you put your balls on it.
You want to be careful though if it's got like that spackling on it. Do you know what I mean? When it's got a rough texture.
Or moss.
So when do you think the hotel's going to find out you stripped that wall down, Tony?
Yeah, no, yeah. That was a proper hipster hotel. Like they had foosball in the reception, and
don't call it foosball.
Whatever you call
it,
I don't know,
table football.
Yeah, and you could sit there on these like weird shaped chairs and be seen on the screen and all this sort of thing. Yeah.
Well, Mexico.
Yeah.
Damn. I tell you what. For that, you can go first in recommending a comic to our lovely listeners.
Who can?
Dan.
Me can. I've got a copy of Here and There, gifted to us by the lovely Chris Sides at London MCM.
I love Sides.
The one of the brief respites between
the heaving masses.
Furious book selling. Yeah. So we've got a script and story Chris Sides, art and story by Adam Jakes, colours Aoja Tomic. Sorry about that. And letters design and editing by Ken Reynolds. And we all love our print comics here, and this is such a gorgeous product. Like the cover stock's almost as thick as the interior stock's almost as thick as the cover stock. It's lovely. It's really nice, and some of the pin-ups in the back are fantastic.
Oh yeah, they are some great pin-ups. I remember that now. Yeah, it's good. Some
really nice pin-ups. Yeah. But I was going to try and not reveal the story of how it sort of plays out, but then I realised on the back blurb it kind of it says it all there. So I'm going to read that. So it says, Eric Jacobs is a damaged man. With his body in a coma, he unwittingly ekes out an existence in an inescapable dreamlike state where he's hunted by wave after wave of monstrous creatures. But with a cryptic message from the outside, Eric's time is starting to run out. So yeah, it's kind of like a kind of dreamy, kind of quite sort of horrific tale of this guy who's living in a kind of post-apocalyptic England. It's sort of got shades of like the Road or Threads, where they're sort of like kind of getting by raiding shops, and they're hunted down by these kind of monstrous creatures that have.
Did you just use Threads as a reference there?
Yes.
Fucking hell, that's a good. Mate, that fucking freaked me out as a kid.
There's a great bit in this where the lead character and his girlfriend at the time, they're sleeping on like a red double-decker bus.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
Broken down in a field. It's nice like reference points like that kind of really sells it for where it is in the world. And it's a really interesting read. I loved it. It's got like hints of 28 Days Later to it as well. But
yeah, definitely.
There's
something more to it, isn't there?
There's something more because the world's not quite right, and it seems to be breaking down and fracturing, and things are happening to the main character, and you're trying to decipher what's going on and why is he getting these messages. I found it a really interesting read. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you where to get from because I'm ill prepared. I'll have to research that and put that in the show notes.
Back to Dan in a minute. There you go. We'll do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Tony, do you want to go next?
Shall I go next? So I'm working my way through. I've picked up loads of small press recently because I've been to quite a few conventions and events, and I'm still working my way through the stuff that I picked up at LCAF. So whilst at the table and barely able to get away at LCAF, I saw a book across the hall on Francis Castle's table, who I'd never met before, called Stagdale, Part 1. And it's small press book.
This cover looks bloody lovely.
Do you see it on Twitter earlier?
I saw you tweeted the cover, and I just thought that was really nice.
I like it. It's a country setting with one of those sort of chalk outline icons on the hill, and a young girl sort of standing in shadow under a tree looking out across this village. But it's got like the fake binding. It looks like almost like a fake binding on the left. It's done in landscape. I'll read you the back of it. It's the summer of 1975, and 12-year-old Londoner Kathy has moved to the remote village of Stagdale after her parents' painful separation. Although she quickly befriends local boy Joe, it becomes clear that strangers are not always welcome. Then there is the mystery of the Saxon jewel that was stolen during World War II and the connection it has with the cottage Kathy is staying in. So this is kind of the first chapter of it. It's full colour. It's got that retro feel, and it is set in 75, and it's got that real... I don't know, it's kind of a little bit like Enid Blyton crossed with Cider with Rosie almost. You know, it's that feel. Do you remember the Rickard sisters who did Man's Best Friend?
Yeah.
It's got that feeling to it as well. Maybe a bit of Posey Simmons in there somewhere. And it's kind of got a narration feel to it. There's some really lovely, colourful. It's clearly set in the summer, which is, I suppose, why I say the Cider with Rosie reference. And it's just full on great colours. There's a double page shot across the 2 pages of the landscape book of like the bridge over the river and the little war memorial and the overgrown trees next to the village houses and all that sort of, an old bloke and his dog walking over the bridge, and it just really brings it back to those sort of when you were a kid, like driving through the countryside and seeing all these towns, in the sort of bright and hazy sort of summer morning. It's just beautiful stuff. You get the narration storytelling technique, which I really like from a story, and this Kathy, it really is told from her point of view, and she befriends a local kid, and he tells her, and rather sort of being this sort of hugely exposition type of a story, he tells her stories about little characters in the village and how they bully him and how his dad fell out with someone and all that sort of thing. And then it flips suddenly back to sort of pages that have got like maybe 9 panels on them sometimes, stuff like that. There's one here I'm looking at with 12 panels on it, and there's a little bit of the John McNaught suddenly, it's got that sort of quality to it, that sort of little moments in time of, quiet little moments and stuff. But at the heart of this book is a mystery. So the mystery of this jewel, this Saxon jewel that was stolen, and you begin to get a little bit of the Enid Blytons around the mystery side of it, but it's got a little bit of an edge to it as well. You sense there's something underlaying. They use a lot. Frances uses the odd bit of iconography. So there's shots of a jigsaw puzzle falling from a table, sort of thing, and then in little bits of that you think, oh, there's something more to it, and then there's a crack that appears in the cottage window of where they're staying, and you think, is that a bullet hole? The little sort of almost sinister little things. And Frances, whose work have you guys heard of Frances' work? She may be sort of quite busy, but it's not someone I've read before. She's got a real eye to. She knows what she's doing around the sequential stuff. It really does. Which I'm not being horrible, but sometimes in the LCAF crowd you don't always get the eye to movement between panels so much. More of an eye to illustration. And there's a moment, I will spoil this because I think it's worth talking about, where you get a shot of her in her bedroom and she's unpacking boxes and she finds a tennis racket and she plays tennis against the wall and against the cupboard in the bedroom, and the ball is hit and it bounces against the cupboard and it comes back and she hits it again and it bounces against the wall, and as it bounces against the wall it makes a little crack in the wall in the plaster, and so she hits it again against the crack, and the a little board comes away, and then she finds a tin, and that's part of the story, that's part of the mystery, and that's a 3 or 4 page sequence that works just really well. Just very simple, and it shows how you can take your time when you're writing a comic, how nothing has to come suddenly bouncing, literally like just straight up at you. Give it time, let it work, and she really does it. The other element to this, which I think I mentioned, there was another element to it on Twitter, was the fact that I think Frances is responsible for a music label called Claypipe Music. It's not a label I'd heard of before. But if you go to her Twitter page and follow a link, it takes you to a SoundCloud page, and there's an instrumental, she describes it as Moog-based music, which is, Moog's an organ, isn't it? I'm right in saying that, sort of...
Yeah, I think so.
Used a lot in the 60s and 70s, yeah. And there's this sort of instrumental music that she has designed for you to listen to whilst you're reading the book.
Oh, wow.
And it doesn't come out across as pretentious at all. It comes out actually quite lovely to listen to. It's real sort of, because the book is a nostalgic, it's the 70s, it's when I was a kid, it gives you that feeling of, the hot summer days and talking to weird kids in the village and, all this sort of man with a dog, and they go into the village museum at one point, and there's a mummified cat, this sort of thing in there. And it's just because they're bored. This is the days before we had video games and stuff like that. You kids used to do shit like that. And it really adds a little element to it, and it's really nice. This is part 1, so presumably part 2 is coming soon. This is trying to think when it came out. Yeah, it came out this year, so hopefully sometime soon we'll be getting Stagdale part 2. But I recommend it. If you go to Frances Castle, Frances Castle, Castle, francescastle.com, or if you go to the hardytree.bandcamp.com, you can listen to the music as well. Follow Frances on Twitter at Frances Castle and find out more. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, little surprise. So there you go.
Nice one.
Yeah. Nice. It's always great when you discover something new.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Which is kind of what I did when I went away on vacation for a couple of days. I, of course, loaded a couple of comics onto my Kindle. Some of the obvious ones that I'm reading just regularly. And I thought I'd take a chance to go to the indie section, just have a browse through there, see what bargains I could find. And I found an absolute fucking corker on this for 69 of your earth and pence. And it was 52 pages. And it's called Spaceman and Bloater.
Oh.
This is by everything's done by the creator Jason Piperberg, who's an American creator. It's published under Orp Comics, and Orp is the sound that Bloater makes because Spaceman and Bloater. This is just a great setup. Actually, this reminds me of the classic setups that you get for some of the characters that we loved when we were reading those UK sort of sci-fi weeklies or something in 2000 AD. But this is a lot lighter than those sort of tones. And rather than a synopsis, I think the first page of the book, because it's like a little anthology tale really, it's about these two characters. There's a brand new 19-page story that kicks it off, And then the back matter is all of the other. I guess he's collected a lot of the shorts that he's done before for these two characters. But basically, Spaceman and Bloater are an unlikely duo of intergalactic couriers travelling the stars in their ship, the Satorian. No, the Saratorian. Sorry. Not the fanciest vessel, but it gets the job done. They specialise in deliveries too dangerous or too strange for others to attempt, though on occasion the risks they take are handsomely rewarded. They've seen it all, or so they think. And that's on the first page, and immediately I just thought, intergalactic couriers, sold. I just thought that's just a very basic
sort of street, innit?
Yeah, just a basic setup, and it's brilliant. I mean, they are sort of alien-like. I mean, it's basically a man and his dog as well.
Yeah.
You know, Spaceman is a very sort of. He looks slightly robotic in a way, but he's also quite alien. Bloater is his dog that's got like 3 eyes. It's got like a snout, and it's basically those two going on different adventures and trying to deliver packages and coming across like monsters and different things like this. The main tale is called the Beltuek Cavern, where they have to deliver something, but they have to go into this cavern, and there's this wise old man outside that says, "Don't go in there. There's like a ghost. There's a spectre in there, and you'll be hypnotised by it." And they don't believe it, and they go in, and of course they run into it. I'm going to say no more than that, because I tell you what, Jason is an absolute beast. I think this is so professionally done, this book. I know some of the work, like in the back matter, is his earlier sort of strips, but where he is now with the first tale that kicks off, it's like this is, this doesn't look like someone that's just doing it all on their own. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
I always appreciate when it looks like they've got like a big publishing house behind them. The level's there already, the professionalism and how good it looks, and he colours it, and just the character design as well. It's funny, it's well paced. There's action, there's great creature design throughout. There's even a strip that's got Santa Claus in it, but I won't spoil that for you. So it's a little sort of anthology story, and the other stories are called, The Orb of Rag, Stranded for the Holidays, Click Clack, and Cocoon. So they kind of sound like episodes of like Deep Space Nine, which is always good. This is a fun bit of like sci-fi adventure comedy that I recommend to everyone, especially like he's got back matter as well. There is like he's done like a 3D model of the ship. Like a CGI 3D model, so he knows.
Okay.
And there's that in the background, so he, it shows like his character designs and how he's designed the ship, so he can see it from every angle and he knows what it's like. So I love that sort of back matter as well. There's some pin-ups in there. It's just brilliant. It's just really good. I mean, even though it says it's issue 1, I think this is a standalone. But I'd like to see more. I don't know how you would take these sort of characters and expand them into a longer form story. I think you quite easily could, and because they're instantly likable as well. It's just great sort of characters of like one man and his dog, that kind of thing. And you throw in alien worlds and strange beasties, and that's always a thumbs up. I think the cover for me. The cover image is really good. It felt more like a bit of a pin-up. I think some people, when they do a bit of a Comixology browse, and I know we do these every week, don't we? When we pick out covers, some people may glaze over it. That's not to say it's not bad, because it is very good. But for me, the main characters are so striking that I would have liked seeing them front and centre and quite big, in your face, because they're quite colourful as well. But so definitely search for this on Comixology. Mainly for the UK people. He might have print issues. It's definitely a creator that I'm going to find out more about. I even rated it 5 stars on Comixology, and I rarely do the ratings. But so you'll read it. Go for it.
On. Now, we spoke briefly ages ago about doing different thumbnails for digital platforms.
Yeah,
and I feel like kind of like what would work on a comic cover in a shop won't work when you're looking at it as like less than a postage stamp sized on a screen. It needs to be really punchy. Yeah.
And certainly I can see that like for a print copy, this would stand out to me on the shop.
Yeah.
But I think you've got a good point. Maybe it's something for people to bear in mind to have a digital exclusive cover, maybe. But that's not even a criticism. because I just love this, and I think everyone should get their hands on it because I want to see more from this creator. So Spaceman and Bloater issue 1 on Comixology, Orb Comics. Get it 69p for like 50 flipping pages. That is ridiculous price. It's only, I think it was just released at the end of May as well. So yeah, there you go.
Nice.
Tons of fantastic comics, books, and graphic novels to check out this week. And another bursting sort of links section that I've got to do. Yeah. Apologies to anyone that actually checks out the new episodes, and sometimes the show notes aren't active because, you know, I put the show out first, and then sometimes I do the show notes afterwards.
We ain't got all year, have we?
Yeah.
Let's face it.
Yeah. But all you need to do is Google these people, and you'll find them anyway.
Yeah, lazy fuckers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the link I was talking about earlier, Chris Sides, it's chrissideswriter.com.
There you go.
And you can buy it there.
Yeah. You should go there anyway, because Chris is a fantastic writer on the rise.
Yeah, it's a good egg. And his T-shirt made another outing this week, didn't it?
Yeah. That's always good. A T-shirt that's got Shut Up Tony, which hasn't been said in probably a couple of years.
Yeah.
You need to bring that catchphrase back.
I think
I'm going to give it to the woman who works on the desk at Orbital, because I tried to speak to her about her dog the other day, and she just put her finger up and told me to be quiet. And
That's pretty. Yeah.
I don't know this woman, but I like
her.
Yeah,
no. Do you know what? When it happened, I was like, oh, what? And then afterwards, I just started laughing, realising, well, it is me, to be fair, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We need to start working on catchphrases that we can monetize.
Yeah, the hotness. That's my one.
Oh,
that's a good one.
Dan,
that's a good one.
You corporate whore.
No, I'm no corporation. It's just a whore.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a backstreet whores. We know they're not big business whores.
No.
Oh, God. But we are
whores. Kind of whores.
We oh dear God, I can't. I was trying to segue that, and there's no way I can segue that into anything decent. So I'll just say this: we hope you've enjoyed this week's show, folks.
Yes.
And you check out all the things that we've been talking about. If you want to get in touch with us about anything, especially like we've talked about events and stuff that are happening on Small Press Day, we actually want to shout out, which is happening July the 13th. If there's any events, we do want to shout out about them and get the word out. So let us know, and you can either catch us on the Twitter, or you can email us, awesomecomicspod@gmail.com. Our Twitter account is @theawesomepod, where we've got yet more exciting creators lined up. I mean, this week was great, and we've got a publisher that I think a fair few people are interested in.
Yeah, it's quite exciting, isn't it, next week?
Soon.
And can I just say the following week is going to be a friend of ours who we accidentally double booked. So I apologise.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say who it is, but go and buy his book, Mahoney's. Go and buy it.
Yeah. You've essentially just said it then, haven't you?
What?
That's also featured on the Comixology app in the top 10. Check it out.
Yeah.
Don't you mean Comic House?
That's what you mean.
Yeah, I meant that. Edit that. Then we do.
I'm not editing anything, Dan. I tell you what.
Edit this.
Yeah, that's a T-shirt. Edit this with an arrow pointing down. Anyway, you can follow us on Twitter @theawesomepod. If you do the Book of Faces, go to facebook.com/awesomecomicspodcast, and you can also join the group Awesome Comics Talk and get stuck in. Now, if you want to join a group and talk about like making comics events, and without any hard selling or anything, this is the place to do it. If you do Facebook, but if you want to join the group, answer the questions.
Yeah. Well,
really
I've been getting angry because it generally is me who sort of ticks it, doesn't it? I tend to be on there. Yeah. So, I occasionally send you screenshots to say, "Oh, this person has just asked. Let's count to 10 till he adds his Kickstarter link." Yeah.
And we will not accept those sort of posts. I know this sounds really harsh, but we're actually not. We only occasionally go on to post something. The community is brilliant because of all the people that are involved, and all the people that are involved are getting stuck in. So we don't want them being just hard selling it.
Full of sales pitches. There's other groups on Facebook, and it's just people dumping Kickstarter links.
Yeah.
There's no conversations. It's just links.
Yeah. And getting to know these people in the group will inevitably sell your book.
Yes.
And it will help you network. Just don't.
I've said yes a lot.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go on.
Yes.
Have you done?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, you're right, Tony. Like you'll get known from putting stuff on there, and they can find you on social media. It's not that difficult.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sometimes networking is more important than advertising, because network can be advertising in a way.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, exactly.
Think about that. That was deep, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yes.
We'll talk about that next week.
Yeah. But thank you very much for listening this week, whether it was on the website awesomecomics.podbean.com. If you listen to us on iTunes, subscribe, leave a review, and get the word out about the show. We really appreciate it. Also, if you listen to us on all of those podcast networks, such as Spotify, Stitcher, Podnose, Podknife. What other networks are we on, Tony?
Pod riding the wave.
I'm just going to leave that there. I mean, if I had more time to edit it, there would definitely be like a gong noise and maybe a tumbleweed.
No, just a tumbleweed. I like that. I like the fact.
Yeah, but tumbleweeds don't really have a noise, though, do they?
Yeah. I don't suppose they do they?
No, it's just the sound of the wind, isn't it?
Yeah.
Speaking of the sound of the wind, where can people find us online, etc., Tony?
Ouch.
That was a bit cruel, wasn't it?
What do you mean?
The EZOYES, EZOHYZ on Twitter, neverwriteanything.blogspot.co.uk, and at your mum's house.
Ooh, that's not. That's like a massive burn to the 5 people that listen to this show.
Yeah.
Dan,
tired that day.
You can find me on Twitter at Vanguard Comic, and you can read Vanguard at vanguardcomic.com. I'm currently drawing the Project Hoax comic, and if you're interested in seeing behind the scenes at that, you can become a patron of Vanguard Comic, and you can see me drawing it.
Is that Kickstarter done, or is that?
I think it's got another week to run, but we've hit the goals
Smashed it.
Yeah, so go on Kickstarter.
I think all the stretch goals are done.
Yeah.
And
Project Hoax is definitely a book that you want to check out on Kickstarter, because our boy Butcher's going to smash it.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
As always.
Yeah, bringing the hotness.
Yeah.
I'm aiming to get the Kickstarter delivered when we say it's going to be delivered. I don't think too many people can make that claim.
No. Yeah, I'm about to make a phone call about that in a minute. Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah. I did look on a couple of my Kickstarters and think, hold on, I haven't even fucking got that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to go through the messages and find out what's happening.
Yeah, I've got to do that as well. But we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Another time. For now, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Jester Diablo and find out more about my comic, The Red Mask, at thredmaskfrommars.com. Thank you again to our guests, Simon and Geoff. It was a great conversation. Hope you enjoyed it. Go forth, check out their work. Even the older work. I mean, no doubt there's lots of our listeners who will probably go reread their Dragon's Claws.
Dragon's Claws.
Warheads, Zoids. Loads of stuff.
Oh, Zoids, man. God, that's another conversation I could get into. Anyway, right, for now, everyone, you should go forth, read loads of comic books, have a great week, and from everyone on this show, what do they do, Dan?
Stay awesome.
Brilliant.
Yes.
You sound like Gordon Ramsay. Anyway. Sorry, that was horrible, Dan. I didn't mean that. You know I love you.
Yes.
Damn it. See ya.
Bye.